Today's reading continues Joseph's incredible journey, showing us how God begins lifting him from the depths of prison into a place of influence. We'll read from Genesis 40:1 to 41:13, where Joseph interprets dreams for Pharaoh's officials, and the door to his future begins to open. This section reveals how faithfulness in small places prepares us for greater purpose, and how even in waiting, God never forgets his promises. Let's read together from the King James Version, KJV. Genesis 40:1 to 41 minutes and 13 seconds, KJV. And it came to pass after these things, that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth. And the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place. And thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner, when thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing, that they should put me into the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the uppermost basket it was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgat him. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fatfulshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and leanfulshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-felshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the 2nd time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream. But there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream, he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. In this passage, we see a turning point in Joseph's journey, even though the door to his destiny has not fully opened yet. Joseph continues to live faithfully in prison, forgotten by men, but never forgotten by God. What seems like delay is actually preparation. Joseph meets 2 of Pharaoh's officers, the chief butler and the chief baker, after they're thrown into prison for offending the king. Both of them have dreams on the same night and are troubled. When Joseph sees their sadness, he asks about it and offers to interpret the dreams, reminding them that interpretations belong to God. The butler's dream involves a vine with 3 branches that blossoms and produces grapes. Joseph tells him it means that in 3 days he will be restored to his position. Joseph asks him to remember him and mention him to Pharaoh, explaining that he is in prison unjustly. The baker's dream involves baskets of bread on his head and birds eating from them. Joseph interprets this to mean that in 3 days the baker will be executed. Just as Joseph said, both interpretations come true on Pharaoh's birthday. However, the butler forgets Joseph completely, and 2 more years pass. Then Pharaoh himself has troubling dreams. In the first, 7 healthy cows are eaten by 7 sickly ones. In the second, 7 full ears of corn are swallowed by 7 thin and withered ones. No magician or wise man in Egypt can interpret the dreams. This is when the butler finally remembers Joseph and tells Pharaoh about the young Hebrew in prison who correctly interpreted dreams 2 years earlier. These moments show us that Joseph remained consistent in character, even when he had every reason to give up. He used his gift in a place of confinement. He honored God with his wisdom. Though he was forgotten by people, God remembered him and positioned him exactly where he needed to be for what was coming next. This chapter teaches us that even in delay and disappointment, God is working. Our job is not to rush the outcome, but to stay faithful in the present. Joseph's breakthrough began with small, quiet acts of obedience. Your breakthrough might too. Thank you for joining us in this powerful reading from the life of Joseph. Though he was confined, forgotten, and waiting for deliverance, Joseph remained faithful. He interpreted dreams, encouraged others, and honored God even when no one gave him credit. What the world forgot, God remembered. And what looked like delay was actually preparation for something greater. If this message encouraged you, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep Bible studies, heartfelt prayers, and inspiring messages from God's Word. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a chapter. If you're in a season of waiting, silence, or being overlooked, please leave us a comment or send us a message. We would be honored to pray for you and your family. All Bible verses used in this video are quoted from the King James Version, KJV, which is in the public domain and freely available for use. Our commentary, explanations, and additional content provided are original and intended for educational, inspirational, and devotional purposes. Please note, all interpretations, explanations, and commentary reflect exclusively our channel's perspective. You may feel forgotten, but you are not. God sees you, God remembers, and your story is still unfolding.